Let's start a new series of videos where I review some of the 1001 movies you must see before you die. Ahoy hoy everybody, and yes, welcome to a new series of videos. I have bought this book, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, edited by Stephen J. Schneider, updated by Ian Hayden Smith. This is the 2021 edition. And I'm basically using this as an almost arbitrary list, because obviously these lists are always got a certain amount of bias towards them, depending on who writes the lists. But yes, I'm using this to decide what films I want to watch and review for you, basically. So what I'm doing, as you will see in a second, is using a random number generator to pick a page in this book, and then I will review the film on that page, or if there's more than one, the first film on that page, and then if that page comes up again, the second film on that page. It doesn't matter if it's a film I've seen before or haven't, I will review it. So it may be a film I'm very familiar with, it may be a first time watch. So you will have seen from the title what today's film was, but it randomly chose number 777, as you can see. So that is actually a page with two films on. But the first one up is Trust by Hal Hartley. They're arranged chronologically in here. So sort of the later the number, the later the film. Trust is not a film I've seen before. It's not a film I own. So I tried Netflix first. It wasn't on Netflix, but it was on Amazon Prime to rent for $3.99. So that's what I did. And I have just finished watching it, and this is my review of it. So yes, Trust, directed by Hal Hartley in 1990. It's a comedy drama described on Amazon as the unusual romance between two young misfits, pregnant high school dropout Maria and brilliant electronics repairman Matthew. A hilarious and moving analysis of family violence and the moral courage it takes to defeat it and ensure faith in others. So it stars Adrian Shelley as Maria, Martin Donovan as Matthew, and the only other sort of name that I knew from the cast was Eddie Falco, who plays Maria's sister Peggy. So I shall briefly summarise the plot without any major spoilers. So the film opens and we see Maria in close-up putting her makeup on, sort of slightly tarty 80s makeup. And her parents are hovering behind her, and she's basically telling them that she is being kicked out of high school, and it doesn't matter because she's going to marry her boyfriend who's about to get a football scholarship, and then when he leaves college, a really good job at his father's firm with loads of money. And when they say, well, you might not want to marry you, she drops a bombshell that he'll have to marry her because she's going to have a baby. An argument ensues, and she slaps her father, storms out of the house, and her father drops down dead. This is all in the opening 2 or 3 minutes, so it's not a huge spoiler. We then cut to Matthew, who is repairing monitors for a computer firm. He has high morals, and the job doesn't satisfy those morals, and he gets into an argument that clearly isn't the first with his supervisor, ends up trapping the supervisor's head in a vice and getting sacked. We then cut to him travelling home, arriving at his house where he lives with his father, and an argument soon ensues, and his father is obsessed with Matthew cleaning the bathroom even though he'd done it that morning. So we see him cleaning the bathroom, and then he's in his room reading, and his father comes in saying, "How many times have I got to tell you to clean the bathroom?" So he cleans it again. And it's obviously an unhappy partnership. And it soon becomes apparent there's violent aspects to it as well. And, it's clearly he's only there because it's the only sort of place he's got that he can be. And his father's obviously got major issues. We then cut back to Maria, who's telling her boyfriend that she's pregnant. He cops, basically, says he doesn't want anything to do with her. Then we see her, I might be missing small scenes, but we see her approach then she goes home and finds out that her dad had died and her mother kicks her out. Then she goes to a bench outside a liquor store where there's this woman sat, and she sits down beside her, and this woman sort of takes pity on her and asks if she's all right, and she has a little crying moment, and then she demands $5 from this woman, who gives it to her, and then she apologises, and she says, "No, I want to help." Maria starts telling her story as this woman then starts telling her story about how her husband never wanted children, but and she starts describing her husband, and if she'd had a child at the right age, she'd be a similar age to Maria, blah, 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 blah. Whilst they're talking, a woman comes along and puts a pram with a baby in next to this bench and goes into the store. Maria goes into the store, tries to buy some beer, gets ID'd. She hasn't got the ID because she's not of age. She tries to have the store owner pity her. She's saying, "Look, I've had a really bad day." So he takes some money, bags up the beer, and then says, "If you want it, you've got to come round." And basically he tries to rape her. She burns his eye with a cigarette. Runs out the store to find the lady missing, and the mother of a baby saying, "Somebody's stolen my baby." Next thing we see is Matthew going to sort of an abandoned house to just meditate, be by himself. He always carries a grenade with him, which we soon learn he does just in case. There, Maria already is, having drunk all the beer. He takes pity on her, takes her home, gives her his bed for the night. No funny business. Next morning, he goes for a job interview that he doesn't really want. And Maria starts cooking and cleaning her clothes and what have you, and she makes a mess everywhere. The father comes home, Matthew comes home, big argument, violence. They leave. And I'm going to sort of summarise from here on in, because it is sort of the meat of the plot, but I don't want to spoil too much. Basically, Matthew goes back to live with Maria and her mum and her sister, Peggy. A relationship forms between them. And yeah, I think I will leave the rest of the plot from there. The main bulk of the story is about how they're meeting, their burgeoning relationship, and how they learn to trust each other, and how their relationship with each other changes each of them. He becomes sort of less moral. He's got this thing about television, but when he starts watching television, it sort of slides into almost normality. She tries to educate herself more. Becomes a bit more sensible, and it's how that develops is the story. And as there, I'll leave the plot. It's a comedy drama. It has dramatic moments. It has comedic moments. It definitely fits that billing, if you like. Direction by Hal Hartley. It was his second film. I've never seen any Hal Hartley before, so I can't really compare it to any of his other films, but it took me a little while to get used to the style of the film. It is very stylised. The dialogue at times can be quite unrealistic. Other times it's, pretty normal, if you like. But there are sections where it's very almost stilted, or played comedically, that feels unnatural. Not unfunny, but it's not a natural flow of dialogue. Visually, it's lots of long takes, wordy takes. Frequently, the camera will just be focused on one person in the scene, or two people in the scene, and there'll be long conversations where people off camera are doing a lot of the talking, but the camera doesn't, normally you'd be cutting between the people speaking, but it doesn't do that. It just focuses on the one or two people, and you just hear the dialogue coming from off screen, which is clearly, a style of, certainly in this film, and I should imagine throughout at least some of Hal Hartley's catalogue, it was too obvious a thing for it just to be random accident, if you like. The violence in it was rarely shocking, and at times could be quite cartoonish, which, when you're dealing with sort of domestic violence, not 100% certain that was the right approach. It should be shocking. By making it cartoonish, it almost makes it fun. There's one point where one of the characters gets his head slammed in a fridge door, but it's almost like a boing type moment, rather than, there's no blood or anything, and he just seems to walk away from it. And I think if you're focusing on something like domestic violence, it needs to be realistic. So that was a bit of a downside of it for me. Performances excellent all round. Even the dialogue sections that were, as I say, more stylised, less realistic, that is clearly a directorial choice, a choice in the writing. It wasn't a fault with the performances at all. As I say, all performances were excellent, particularly the two leads, Adrienne Shelley and Martin Donovan, and especially Adrienne Shelley. I thought she was excellent. That's the first time I've ever seen her in anything, and she blew me away, to be honest. I thought she was magnificent. She made a few more films, went on to write and direct, I think, Waitress, the film, which then got turned into the musical, and she sadly died very young. Quite a few years ago now, which is a tragedy, because she was a huge talent, but certainly based on this film and the legacy of Waitress, if you like. But yeah, she just blew me away. Her performance, the way her character transformed through the film. She was, spent a lot of the film as the main centre of attention, and she held the screen really well. She had long, periods where she was although, as I said, there's lots of dialogue and lots of dialogue-heavy scenes, there's also big sections of a film where she's barely speaking, and, she's emoting through her eyes and her expressions, and, yeah, just magnificent she is. So yes, that was Trust. Do I think it's one of the 1001 films or movies? I've got to call them movies because they're not all shot on film nowadays. 1001 movies you must see before you die? I wouldn't necessarily say so. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Would I recommend it? By and large, yes. I mean, I think it won't be a film for everyone, without sounding snobby, because I love these films as well, but if all you really watch are big blockbuster films, action films, superhero films, and you don't really explore more dramatic side of film, then possibly not. But if you're open for a little bit of weirdness, a little bit of esoteric filmmaking, yeah, it's well worth a watch. Overall, I would probably give it... Well, I'm differing between 7 and 8, so I'll say 7.5 out of 10. It's not a film I'm going to rush to own, having seen it now. I did quickly see how much it would be to buy a copy, whether it would be cheaper than the $3.99 to rent one, and it wasn't. It's out of print, so it was going for quite a bit of money. Is it a film I'm in a rush to see again? No, but I'm glad I've seen it, and as I say, I enjoyed it. Yeah, 7.5 out of 10. So that's it for this part. I'm going to try and do these monthly. I won't say I definitely will, and obviously I'm not going to get through all 1001 movies. That's not the idea, but it's, I've been wondering, having shown off my film collection, what I can do to sort of keep the film type videos going. I've got top 10s to do and things like that and rankings, but I wanted a regular series as well, similar to the ones I do for the music side of things, and thought this was a good idea, and it was a good way of choosing films to watch. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you want to see more. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.